Hey there everybody, it's markcrilley. I'm back with another How to Draw video. Today I'm going to be covering a topic I've never really covered before in any of my videos, and that is the topic of color selection. What it is that I think about as I choose colors, particularly for a character or a vehicle or some sort of item that is going to be repeated throughout my story, and so I want there to be, a color scheme that is pleasing to the eye. So what I've done here is I've done a chibi character version of my character Talia from the Brody's Ghost series, just to give myself something to use as an example. And I'm going to scan this into the computer, and then I'm going to print out 5 different smaller versions of it, and then we're going to apply different color schemes and sort of compare and contrast the different approaches. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I scanned it in, I printed it out. This is just ordinary printing paper, and you can see I sort of cut and pasted until I had lots of different little chibi Talias to work with here. Now what I'm going to do is take this first one, I'm going to zoom in closer on it, and I'm going to present the actual color scheme that I use for Talia in the comics. Alright, well, those of you who know the Brody's Ghost series know that Talia is the main ghost character in the story, and as such, I kind of deliberately gave her almost no colors. I really bleached out the colors and made her as pale as possible, and that's partly why I chose her for this video, because I think it's going to be interesting to see as we begin applying more vibrant color schemes and so forth to this exact same character. Now I'm going to be using colored pencils to apply the color, but I want to stress that this video is not about coloring technique. It really is only about coloring choices, and so I'm going to link to other videos that are more about using colored pencils or markers or watercolors and so forth in the info box. Check them out if that's what you want to learn about. But for today, it's really going to be focused only on the colors and my thinking in terms of choosing them. So let's go ahead and all in time-lapse, I'm going to do the sort of reality check version here in which we see the actual color scheme that I came up with for Talia in the Brody's Ghost series. Alright, so as you can see, the color scheme for Talia really comes down to just two colors, a very pale blue and a very pale purple. And, one of the things that I'm probably going to be saying throughout this video is that there is a benefit to reducing the number of colors that you use, and a character in many ways becomes more memorable if you don't have too many colors vying for attention. And in fact, it doesn't even seem like a pattern or a color scheme if you get too many colors in there. So there's nothing wrong with restricting yourself, as I did in this case, with just two colors. Basically, I suppose you could make an argument for gray, which I've put in here as an element of shading, being sort of a third color when it comes to Talia. But otherwise, that basically shows you everything you need to see on the character as she is published and out in the world right now. Now for the fun part, we're going to move on to this next one, in which I'm going to use a radically different coloring approach. Alright, well, this is really going to be sort of interesting for me because I'm going to use a coloring approach that I pretty much never use, and it is what I would call the every color in the rainbow approach. And maybe almost as a sort of negative example, I hesitate to condemn any approach to coloring. They can all work in their own ways, but this is certainly not something I would normally do in character design. Let's go ahead and color it in using the rainbow approach and see what it ends up looking like. Alright, well, here we have the approach of using almost every color in the rainbow, and one thing I would point out is notice that from head to toe, basically none of the colors repeat, apart from the yellow skin. I wonder if she's a character from The Simpsons. Maybe she's a distant relative of Bart. But in any case, when you don't have any repeating colors throughout an entire character or, as I said earlier, vehicle or something like that, it doesn't really become a color scheme. It starts to look a little random. But again, I hesitate to present any of these approaches as wrong or bad or something. I'm just trying to explain why I would never come up with a color scheme like this for one of my characters. Really, my approach is to go for things that are a little more muted, a little more restrained, and in fact, that is going to be the approach we use for this next one right now. Okay, so for this one, we're going to head in completely the opposite direction. I'm going to pull out all these sort of browns, basically, different shades of brown, and just one shade of green that, again, very muted, that's going to be the one contrasting color with all those browns. And I also pulled out a gray here. Yeah, let's see what happens when we use this much more restrained color scheme. All right, so here you see the effect of these muted colors, these sort of autumn fashion kind of colors, I guess you would call them. For whatever reason, this is the kind of color scheme that I like. Now, what I would call your attention to is the fact that, you know, you see the green in the eyes and then it's repeated in the skirt. You see the brown of the hair repeated in the boots here. If you are able to repeat the different colors, even the gray of her leggings are repeated up here in this little hair band, barrette, what is it called? I never know what anything's called. But by repeating the things and creating a pattern, it sort of just ties the design together and makes it more appealing. And of course, you know, you see that same kind of thing, whether it's Iron Man, or you know, R2-D2. Most of these characters will have a certain color that repeats throughout the design, and that's just, I think, good design principles, really. But again, some people may look at this and say, that looks boring to me, those colors. I prefer something more vibrant, and you know, more power to you. Everyone gets to choose their own preferences when it comes to these color decisions. Well, let's move on to the next one. Now, those of you who have had art classes, you may have had the teacher talk to you about cool colors versus warm colors, and so we're going to do that for these next two ones. Compare the difference between using what we call the colder looking colors, which is basically blue, certain shades of green and purple. They just, for whatever reason, they trigger this idea of cold, I think, in the human eye, for most people anyway. And so I'm going to go ahead and add those colors, and let's see what it looks like when we use only cool colors to color in this character. Okay, so here you see what happens when we use only these cold-looking colors for the character. You indeed end up with a slightly icy-looking character. And interestingly, the original design of Talia features, you know, very pale blue and purple, both of them cold colors, and that was by design. She's supposed to be dead, and so, you know, the body grows cold after death, and so that was kind of part of what I was thinking of there. But remember, this is not only a video about characters. You know, you could use these color schemes for anything. Say you have a you know, sci-fi story with a rocket ship, and you're looking for an interesting color scheme. You may opt for the cold color scheme for this cold character, or you know, any number of things you can think about as you choose the colors that will make up your design. Well, let's head off in the total opposite direction and see what happens when we use the warm colors. So yeah, warm colors, as you might expect, are colors like red, orange, and yellow, colors that remind us of fire and so forth. But I thought for fun I would also bring in this shade of yellowish green, just to show that some shades of green, I believe, kind of qualify as a semi-warm color. So let's go ahead and put these colors on there and see what it ends up looking like. All right, so here you see the effect of the warm colors. She looks like she should be a character on a bottle of hot sauce or something. It's spicy. In any case, I find it fascinating how much the same character changes just when you add different colors. And one thing I was going to point out is that, you know, I talked about the repeating color scheme. Like over here, the skirt is matching the eye color. Well, it doesn't always have to be the same. Here the skirt is matching the hair color, and the eye is matching the leggings. And so, you know, you can feel free to sort of play around with different placements of whatever colors you've chosen until you find the the arrangement that you like best of all. Well, let's move on to this last one, in which I will kind of restrict myself more than almost any of these others in terms of the colors that I'm allowed to use. Alright, so for this last one, I'm going to let black and gray be the kind of dominant colors, and then just for a little bit of trim, work in red, with this idea that black and red are very often used for bad guy type characters. And so I thought, what if Talia turned to the dark side? What kind of character would she look like with this new color scheme? So let's go ahead and put those colors down, and together we will find out what bad guy Talia looks like. Alright, well, there you see the effect of using just black, gray, and red, and I gotta say, she doesn't really look like a bad guy to me. She just looks like she's ready for a night out at the club. So, I guess I clearly need to work on my bad guy skills, but let's go ahead and refocus so that we can see all the different versions all in one frame. Alright, well, there you see the effect of 6 different color schemes on the same character. It is kind of amazing how different they all look, though of course they were exactly the same before we added color. And just a quick reminder for those of you who like this pose, this little peace sign winking pose, I do have a video that teaches you how to draw it, not the Talia version, just a different character, but pretty much the exact same pose. So I'll go ahead and link to that in the info box, and also have an annotation link at the end of the video. But I do want to make sure I thank everyone who has supported me by getting any of my books, such as Brody's Ghost and Miki Falls, my 2 graphic novel series, as well as Mastering Manga 1 and Mastering Manga 2, my How to Draw books. I do greatly appreciate the support of people who help me out by getting those books. But of course, this can't be over until I add some blushies. Not on all of them. No, I'm not going to add blushies on all of them. People, I got a schedule. I gotta get back to work on Brody's Ghost. Gotta finish that final book. And that means that I can lay this pencil down. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.